Hey, 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 this is Natasha Nurse. I'm the host of Sisters on Fire IRL series, and I'm really excited to be speaking with Victoria Coker. She graduated from St. John's University with a bachelor's in communication arts. Ms. Coker has more than 10 years of design and marketing experience and has worked for organizations like Carnegie Hall, Bric Arts Media, and Oxford University Press. In 2015, she started ColoredContentcom Media, Inc., a media tech company. The corporation's mission is to promote diversity in media. Colored Media is the parent company of a variety of organizations that push Colored Media's mission forward. Ms. Coker wants to amplify the voices of Black people and people of color in media. 3 years ago, she founded ColoredContentcom, a video platform that primarily features web series created by Black media makers. And last year, she launched the Black Web Fest, an event dedicated to celebrating Black media makers and digital content. And her latest project is Brandon, a marketplace that connects brands and influencers of color. Her goal is to build a legacy to empower her community. So without further ado, how are you, Victoria?
I'm okay, Natasha. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You have such an empowering bio. So I'm really excited to just
Thank
like get right into
you.
the questions. Yeah. And my first question is just how did you become such an advocate and a promoter of of Black media of people of color?
I think more so it's usually the best ideas come from your own experience. And back in college, I found out that Viacom owned like what a third of like the biggest media companies. So they owned BT, MTV, CMT, anything with a T that was on cable. They owned, and I was like, okay, I want to be a part of that company.
Hmm.
And then I had applied for several different media companies, including getting an interview twice at Centric, which is part of BT, or Viacom, actually, to say. And I didn't get the job for different reasons, for different times. And it was like, okay, I'm talented, I'm good enough to get these interviews twice with the same person, but I'm not getting the job. And I know that there's so many other people who find it hard to get into media, especially being a person of color, especially probably being a woman of color. And I wanted to make opportunities for myself. If no one's going to give me the opportunity, then I'll build it for myself. Then, and yeah,
Mm,
that was that.
absolutely. Okay. And what has been the most surprising thing that you've learned now that you are building your own platform for Black media and media for people of color?
I think it's really hard. It's great to have the idea and people support in theory, but it's really hard for Black people to build together on something that's not well funded. So they could be
Mm,
like, wow, that's a great idea, but someone else isn't endorsing it, so I don't want to be a part, or I'm not ready to put all my energy into it because someone else isn't endorsing it. That's big. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to be honest in that way, to be like people aren't supporting other people's stuff until it's endorsed, until it's great. And that could be a number of reasons. It could be self-sabotage, like, oh, well, I can't do it, and this person definitely can't do it. Or it could be just past experiences. I worked with other people doing the same thing or something similar, and they never followed through, so I only wait until people follow through. Um, yeah, I
mm,
mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of tough to build with a community that obviously has a lot of issues that aren't necessarily brought on by themselves, but brought on through different years of different tribulations, just slavery, Willie Lynch letters, just so many different things that we hold on to as a community that we sometimes forget that we even have on us, and so much baggage. So it's kind of sad.
interesting. Have you made content or promoted content that speaks to that? Because I definitely have heard that conversation and been a part of that conversation before.
Yeah, I don't think I've necessarily made content that speaks to that.
Hmm.
And partially maybe because it sounds so negative to say out loud, but definitely we have conversations, and I always bring it up with people. I have conversations with other people who feel the same, or say, well, Black people this. And I've necessarily, and I've worked on not saying, well, even Black businesses, I guess. People are like, oh, see, this is why you can't do business with Black people, right? And I've
Mm,
worked hard not to say that because someone pointed it out in a group that I'm in on Facebook. Like, white people don't go, well, I'm not going to deal with this person. See, but white people can't do business. They don't say that to each other. They just go, this is a bad business. And so for me, I just try to make more of a conscious effort to not say things like, well, it's because it's a black business, I'm not going to work with them. Or, black businesses, not actively saying those things because you're perpetuating that idea still in your mind and in others' minds, and making a conscious effort to tell other people, like, hey, you do those things, you perpetuate that stigma.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely.
Okay. And what do you think it's going to take to have, I guess, more community support around media that's all for us, that's dedicated to making us stand, out more in mainstream highlight?
I mean, once it's mainstream, then it's like people support it, right? But I don't think it's the issue is when it's mainstream. It's before it's mainstream. But I definitely think it may take a generation or two. It may take more of the issues that are happening to be public. So
Mm-hmm.
seeing, the administration that we have now, seeing a lot of social justice issues, people standing up, people becoming activists in this season may make people align more and build together more. So it might be just timing too.
Okay. And when it came to us, getting into this field, what were like key resources that you use that helped you, be able to build this platform for yourself?
Key resources. I do a lot of research. I use the internet a lot. But like that's one of my key resources is Google. And definitely it is. And I found a
Mhm.
lot of people throughout the way, and building, like, you have to kind of build your own community. So I've
Mhm.
built my community little by little, and now it's in a way where people are kind of like, wow, you have done something, you have built some kind of trust, so we're willing to invest in you, we're willing to help you, you're doing something that's kind of powerful, and you're really trying to help others. So also a network, so just kind of building a community. I think those two key things are continuously helping me, and research
Mm.
is the best. I mean, and that's how you find resources too.
Absolutely. Okay. And in this process, how would you say your journey has been affected being a woman, right? And being a person of color?
What benefits have I had being a woman and being a person of color?
How has your journey, like your professional career leading up to start like going off on your own and creating this, but also just either, in your general professional career, how has your journey been affected being a woman and being a person of color?
Oh, I think for me, I like started working at a tech company, and I started going to events and started networking, and definitely I was so intrigued by what was happening there, and hearing about South by Southwest for like the first time, like my eyes were opened.
Mhm.
And that made me want to do more networking, go to more events. But going there, me looking the way I look, a lot of people take you for granted, or are like, oh, you can't do anything, or are you good enough to do anything, or do you have any
Mm.
skills? Just because the
Mhm.
way I look, or just because the way I talk. And sometimes if a man said the same thing, he would be like, oh, he's so yeah, he's so focused, he knows what he wants. Where if it's a woman, it might be like you're the B word because you're so aggressive and you know what you want. Um,
Mm.
and you're so straightforward. So I've been to like hackathons and stuff like that where people are like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna hang out and we're three white guys and we're all together. And it's like, well, I have a great idea. I would love to be a part, and I'm not even invited to that kind of group. And I'm
Mhm.
kind of like, okay, I'll just take all the refugees over here and we'll build something. Um, so yeah, I definitely see that people take you for granted just because you look a certain way, or you sound a certain way, or you have a certain education, or they don't even give you a chance to say you have this certain education, or you have these certain skills.
Mm.
And there's very few of you there. If there are
Mm.
people like you there are very few. Um, so,
Okay.
yeah, I think definitely taken for granted and overlooked. for the most
Gotcha.
part. But there are definitely more opportunities. There's a big conversation around diversity now, and everyone's talking about diversity in technology. Even though I feel like there are not a lot of resources for people who are older and want the resources. I feel like they're trying to do it for the next generation, which will still put our like Black people a step behind, because we'll be educating the next generation where everyone else will be educated in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's definitely resources for just being Black or just being a woman. And I'm definitely always taking advantage. I just told someone I applied for a co-working space, and I told them it's like an accelerated incubator co-working space thing. And I just said, I'm all for affirmative action if it benefits me. Like, you know, the guy, it was a white guy, and he was talking to me about, yeah, we're all for diversity and helping people out and, you know, inclusion. I was like, okay, well, I'm all for it, because if it helps me out, I'm all for it, because there are a lot of opportunities that sometimes we want to stand on our laurels, but they're giving us a leg up that we wouldn't have otherwise. And if I can benefit from it, I'm definitely going to take it, as long as it doesn't really offend me personally, and in a way my community too.
And also, I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about the type of content available on ColoredContentcom, and then also explain a little bit more about how your new project, branding, works.
Oh, okay, definitely. So okay, color content, all the content is created by independent media makers, Black media makers, and that's people from throughout the African diaspora. So we're open to always accepting new types of content. Majority are web series. We do have some short films on the site too. It's free, so kind of think Hulu, but free. All Black content. We also have a blog where we have news and independent content creator interviews. So that's really cool too. So that colored content. You also wanted me to speak about Brandon or Black Web Fest and Brandon?
Both, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Black Web Fest is actually our international festival that's dedicated to Black media makers. So we celebrate Black media makers there. We also are very focused on technology, because I think that's so important. Education and discovery. So you can create great content, but no one knows about it. So I want the general public to watch these web series and this content. It's back to kind of building this community. It's kind of back to having that endorsement, and someone kind of like, wow, okay, now that I know about the series, I can follow this director. This person could be the next Ryan Coogler. You never know. So we actually have film screenings. We have informative panels. We've had panels talk about financing. We've had panels talking about VR, AR, so that's the technology piece. We also have like networking opportunities. So we have like a wine tasting where people can network and try different types of food. Because I think all those things are important about building community. So that's all of that WebFest, and we've had events so far in New York, which is our annual festival, which happens every second week of April. Oh, Brandon. Okay. So Brandon just started this year. It's not officially launched. I was hoping it would be officially launched by now, but it will be launched by the end of the month. And we already have people signed up for it, and it's really cool. So it's an online marketplace, kind of think like Fiverr, but just dedicated to small businesses finding influencers of color. So right now there's a ton of platforms out there, but nothing's dedicated specifically for people of color and also to small businesses. So if you look up something like Top Influence, which is really cool, they do analytics. You can go on the site and you can find influencers, but then you have to pay a monthly subscription fee. A lot of smaller businesses can't afford to pay a monthly subscription fee. So they're looking on Instagram for influencers. They don't really do a verification check on to see, oh, wow, this person has good engagement. This person has real followers. This person has some knowledge of doing a marketing campaign, because this is necessarily what you're paying the person for. You're paying them to do marketing for your business. But most of the influencers don't have the experience. So we're partially teaching them by giving them resources like, hey, this is a blog post about a marketing campaign, and also here is where you can find contracts to do your campaign, so you make sure that everything is set. And we also are allowing them like to discover all these people and pay all on one platform. So that's what Brandon is. A marketplace where both sides can kind of connect, benefit, and grow. And we want to help the small businesses build brands, and we also want to help the influencers find trusted partnerships where they can grow.
Okay, very, very cool. And so, with all of that, I think it's very clear to everyone listening, obviously, why you are clearly a sister on fire. So, I guess my next question to you is, how would you define the term sister on fire?
Sister on fire. Like, okay, so I'm black. So I'm like, yeah, sister, brother, sister, back home, brother. That thing. So I'm thinking like that, and then I'm black, right? And on fire, there's someone who is ramping up, doing their thing, building, growing. You can't put them out no matter what. Nothing can extinguish them. And
Hmm.
definitely, I think that's me.
Okay, very cool. And in your personal life, professional life, who were women that lived up to that definition for you?
I mean, I definitely think my mom. My mom was just a great mom, always encouraged me to do everything, put me in a lot of different activities, so kind of built my creativity. So say my mom, I think she is my biggest influence. As just being a person, and I think I also take that into business on just trying to build a trusted brand and business, and also be just, a good woman all the way around, whatever that means to me, I guess. But yeah, she's my biggest influence. I don't know if there are other people that I totally respect in business. I think Candy Burst, she is just like, she does a lot of the things that I love to do. I'm also an artist. I sing, obviously, just from me singing like 2 seconds ago. So like, I love the trajectory of her business. Like, she started with music, she wrote, now she has a restaurant, she's gonna play, she's about to do another TV show on Bravo. So I think she's
Hmm.
just a great example of a woman and a businesswoman, and she's showing people that you can kind of have it all at this moment. Or there's periods of your time when you can have it all. Because there were times when she was a single mom and she was struggling, but now she has a husband and she has all these businesses. So there might be different levels to it, but you can still do it and build from nothing.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. So, just with that, I guess, what advice would you have for content creators who are looking to get their voice, to get their content out there more and to be heard? And that for other people similar to you who, maybe they're not seeing something in their industry that is, kind of like what they want to do, what would be the first steps to kind of saying, hey, I'm gonna create something of my own.
Um, yeah, content creators, I think definitely just keep creating, which sounds so stupid, but um, the first time you do something, obviously you're not the best at it. So I think a lot of content creators, you can just, oh, let me just take a camera, but kind of perfecting your craft to do it better. There's things that I'm totally working on, entrepreneurial wise and art, to become better. So just continue to create, be consistent, because people like to see consistent people. Back to kind of the idea of you have to push, especially in this community, you kind of have to push through to show that you're serious about what you're working on. Being
Mhm.
consistent, continue to work on your craft, and build a community. So, like for me, it's taking some time, but now I'm kind of feeling like, wow, I have a community that supports me in it. So sometimes you'll do it alone, and you'll start at first alone. But if you continue to do it, you will build your community and attract like-minded people.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and for people who don't see what they want to do in the market, or don't see opportunities available, kind of just do it too. But also do research, because there's so many people who will be like, oh, I don't know of any sites like a colored content hypothetically, or I don't know anything like Netflix that's out there, but I can tell you like 5 different people who are doing something similar in the same market as me, because I do research. So I can tell you what's the benefits, what's not the benefits, what they have available, what they don't have available. Um,
Mm.
a lot of people aren't doing the research and they don't know, so they're recreating the wheel. And instead of recreating the wheel, what we can do to help each other is to support the people who are already doing it. So, for instance, Poly
Mm.
TV is out there. Poly TV was at Black Web Fest this year speaking, and so was Blossom. And Poly TV has the same kind of business model they do on Netflix, where you do video on demand and you pay a monthly subscription fee, and you can watch You can watch the web series, short films, and different content that they provide. So
Mhm.
definitely say
Mhm.
to people, do your research and find what's out there. And then if there isn't a need, if there really is a need for it, and there's no one you can help and support in what they're doing, then create it and just do it for yourself, because you'll be waiting forever for someone else to give you an opportunity if not.
Mhm.
And you don't want this time going by. Instead, you might have a few lumps, but you will be able to create what you always dreamed of, and that's important and that's powerful too.
I love it. Okay. So, for people who want to get to know you more, want to potentially work with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Definitely contact me, which is so like I'm so open on Instagram, advocacy, ADDVIC_E. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like advice, advocacy double entendre. Find me on Twitter or Instagram. I think that's the best way. Or they can always email my company, corporate at colored, CLRED media.com. Yeah, most of the time, unless it's something super crazy, I respond. So just contact me and I'll respond back.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being a sister on fire. Thank you for sharing your story in the IRL series. And just like you said, keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for being such an advocate for our community. I know that it's important, and it's important for everyone listening to hear your story and why you're doing what you're doing, because it matters.
Thanks again, Natasha, for having me.
Absolutely. All righty. You have a great day. Okay.